Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm sorry, a lazy Sunday, so came late. Today is the third day of our boot camp. In the first day, we just basically talked about the unit 1, 2, and 3 and how to approach sociology as a syllabus. The second day, our major focus was on the heart and soul of sociology. That was basically unit 4 and how to approach the sociological thinkers. And tentatively, in a brief kind of perspective, I have opened up and I have basically shown you the ways to look at and approach the thinkers. And today, the session which we are talking about from the first paper, that 5 days boot camp and what are the things which we are going to talk, what are the part of the syllabus which we are going to discuss, is there with you. In a first paper, once we have done the unit 1, 2, 3 and 4, then the part C, if you allow me to divide the syllabus into part A, part B and part C. So in a part A, I will be keeping unit 1, 2, 3, reading separately and then interlinking with one another. Part B, the social thinkers, sociological thinkers. And part C is all the social structure, the social institutions, in which the unit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 would come out. You know, when I say unit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, I don't know how you people are approaching and how you people are basically looking at the syllabus of sociology. Those who are planning to opt or those who have already done it. Usual traditional kind of perspective of preparation in sociology as an optional in civils is that usually we go through the first paper, then we start the second paper. I don't know, I'm the one who does not believe in this bifurcation of paper 1 and paper 2. I always say right from the first day, the moment we are talking about the modernity in Europe, consequent changes, emergence of sociology, let's also give some time to understand the modernization hypothesis in India. And that's the moment you come to the second paper, which I'll be talking about tomorrow, modernization of Indian tradition in a part A, unit 2. And that with a certain debates which will emerge. The final nuances, understanding, conceptual understanding should be known to you, and that way you would be able to link paper 1 with the paper 2. For example, if I make a line that modernization in Europe was orthogenetic process. Orthogenetic means coming from within. So any change which is coming from within will be touching upon the core issues, the core values, the base of the structure. But modernization in India was heterogenetic, coming from outside. So it will be basically touching upon the surface area, outer surface. And thus, when we talk about the Indian society, I always say that you keep an eye on the two words, continuity and change, change and continuity. And that were the questions in second paper, which I'll be talking tomorrow, and also the GS paper 1, when the questions are coming in terms of tradition, modernity and others, that could be handled by you. The point why I picked up this line is basically to make you understand that unit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the similar kind of units, same units are there in your syllabus of second paper. For example, if I'm talking about social stratification from paper 1, and today when we're looking at the types, then apart from class, we'll be finding about it another example, there is the caste. So why to wait for the second paper to begin later on once we have done it? Once you are doing the social stratification in first paper, bring about the caste system in India. That is a part B, unit 2. And try also to look at a certain kind of theoretical perspective from there. Link it. The certain kind of areas related with the caste which are scattered here and there, like in a social movement, like in terms of poverty, deprivation, like in terms of the backward caste movements, the Dalit movements, and then a caste conflict. Bring all the things there. And rather than waiting for the first paper to finish and doing the second paper, bring it over there. When you're doing the Unit 6, Work and Economic Life, then in the second paper, you will be finding about Part C, Unit 3, Industrialization and Urbanization. Find out the common areas. Bring it over there. Do not wait for the second paper to be, the first paper to finish and second paper to begin. Similarly, politics and society. There are many issues, many areas which you will be knowing, reading, familiarizing yourself in a paper 1. Are the similar topics which are there in a paper 2. Part C, Unit 4, Politics and Society in India. Same thing, beta. You do not have to do here and there. Religion and society, we have in a social structure second paper, Part B, Unit 5, Religion and Society in India. Why do we wait for this one? System of kinship. From first paper, we find about the system of kinship there in a religion in a Part B, Unit 6. And system of kinship is there in a second paper, Part B, Unit 5. Bring it. And the Part C of the second paper in Indian sociology begins with the very vision of change. So once we are talking about the Unit 10 in the first paper, that is a change in a modern society. Bring this vision of change. Talk about the certain kind of theoretical models. And look at certain dimensions. That way, I always say that by the time you have finished the first paper, by bringing the certain similar kind of topics from the second paper, similar kind of units from the second paper, you would be left only with the 4 or 5 units extra, which you have not done in a first paper. Do not bifurcate the syllabus. And you sometimes find that the questions are coming from both the papers, in both the papers. So that way your approach should be there. But when we approach Unit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, now when you have become very comfortable, I had said you that you needed to have a certain kind of mastery. I'm not saying that we a perfection. No, we the teachers are also not perfect. All right. We constantly read. And many a times I always say that I read more than you. It has become a habit of me now. I'm a person who basically prefers solitary life. Despite being married one with the children, I usually prefer to be leading a very secluded life. And that way I find the reading is the best habit. I do not want you to read that much. But at least when the syllabus comes out, you just provide some time, and I had said it. That some sort of mastery, some sort of comfortability in the paper 4 would make you the more sure in terms of sociology in a civils. Now, when we are talking about the social stratification, you are talking about economy, polity, system of kinship, or you are talking about the religion, or you are talking about change. Invariably, you find about right from the Unit 5 to 10, sociological theories on stratification, sociological theories on religion, sociological theories on change. All right. Mind the line, beta. Your first attempt should be that all those 6 scholars which I have read, how their views which I have become comfortable with, can that be provided location in this Unit 5 to 10. And thus, once you have done this one, every unit will become only conceptual in nature. You will realize when you will go bit deep into sociology, you will realize what I am saying. I always said that Unit 5 to 10 requires conceptual clarity. Thinkers, you have done it. Look at the syllabus. I have the syllabus with me, and the moment I look at stratification and mobility, It begins with concept, equality, inequality, hierarchy, exclusion, poverty, and deprivation. Theories of social stratification B. That says a structural function theory, Parsons will come out, Davis and Moore will come out. I'll just talk about. Then they have said Marxist theory, Weberian theory. Now look at beta, when we were talking about the Marx, Weber and Parsons, have we not done them in Unit 4? Alright, once you have done in Unit 4, it means all the thinkers you have done holistically. Alright. Now they are to be used in a segmentalized dimension. Their ideas are now to be taken and used in the different units. That what Marx has said about a stratification in terms of a class. What Weber has talked about a stratification in terms of class, status and party, Trinity model. Alright. And from there you find about the views on a class. Alright. And a conceptual clarity in terms of the stratification. Do not try. You need to be miser because there is a space given in which you have to write the answer. We remember when we have gone to the social science and humanities early days. At our time, there was an intermediate. After 10th, you'll have to go to the college. And since then, the moment we picked up the social science and humanities, alright, we basically were taught to use the flowery language. Long, long ago, there lived a king. King was very beautiful, very handsome. He has a big orchard field of bananas, mangoes, lychee, whatever we could remember at that time. That time is gone there. Even that was somewhere there in terms of our time when we were taking the civils. Because the questions were to be written in 600 words, 60 marks questions. Now 10 marks, 10 marks, 10 marks, 10 marks, 12 marks. So you cannot write more than 100, 150, 200 words. So you cannot use such kind of. You need to be miser. I have told you very first day. Miser I am not talking about in terms of spending. Miser I am talking about in terms of using the words. And how will become miser? Only through the conceptual comfortability. So the moment you pick up any book and you start looking at the social stratification, it is said that how it has come from this subject. When you dig the earth, you find about the strata. Similarly, when you look at the society, you find one line. That social stratification is institutionalized structural inequality. Finish, beta. Nothing. Now let me pick up so that things will become much more easier for you. When I say mobility, I am talking about social mobility. Alright. Like, do this one. I told you, now I am doing this one for you. Here. Conceptual understanding. One line. Institutionalized structural inequality. Fine. Now, the moment you say that social stratification entails inequality, then open up, think. Can inequality be only social? Inequality could be natural as well. So, we will find the certain questions. How does the natural inequality get built in the social inequality? Isn't it? And once we are talking about inequality, certainly, right since the emergence of man and society, in entire political, philosophical, sociological discourse, we have been finding about the debate in terms of equality. And more precisely from where the modern nation state emerged out, that democracy flourished, institutionalized. The notion of inequality became the right of the citizens. Alright? Now look at your syllabus. Your syllabus begins with such kind of conceptual domain. Equality, inequality, hierarchy, exclusion, poverty, deprivation. So these all require, all right. And once you make a line, a stratified society. Pause. What do you mean by unstratified society? And please, do not write that the society which is not stratified is unstratified. No, please do not. Inequality is universal. Even in the earlier works, anthropological works, where they had worked on the simpler society, they talked about the notion of egalitarianism. All right? Right from the forage, hunting, gathering societies, where all the males would be indulged in hunting, all the females, adult females would be indulged in a gathering, were considered to be egalitarian society. But even that society will be finding about an image of an ideal man and woman. So the society where inequality has not been institutionalized is unstratified society. And the society in which inequality has been institutionalized is a stratified society. And the two current contemporary terms in an institutionalized inequality, the example should be class and a caste. So you pick up this way right from here, equality, inequality, hierarchy, all right, exclusion, poverty, and deprivation. Same debate, this all debate will also be the part of our second paper. And precisely you will find about these words and certain questions there. Some have been excluded from the society and some excluded themselves from the society. Now, the underclass in a Western society, the lower class in the Indian society, look at, come to this conceptual clarity. Time and again I am saying with me, 2.5 hours, with every 40 minutes, 2 minutes laughing, 2 minutes talking to you. But end of the day, when you, after 2.5 hours, when you are going out, nothing would be left, you will be going comfortably. And once you have done it, then do the theories of social stratification. A structural functionalist. 2. Talcott Parsons in a structural functionalism. Davis and Moore, this is another theory from where the questions comes out. All right. But do remember, very rarely in sociology, sometimes it has happened that any work, any proposition proposed by the certain thinkers have been critically evaluated word by word, line by line, proposition by proposition. So even the syllabus has inherent or not, any one of you will be talking about the views of Davis and Moore, Kingsley Davis and Wilbert E. Moore, some principles of stratification from the functionist perspective. Automatically the Melvin M. Tumin as a critic will come. Now you say, sir, there are so many questions coming from Tumin. They have been asked in UPSC. How come this question? This questions comes out because you have not tried to understand the requirement. That's why I say, the moment you talk about Davis and Moore, automatically Melvin M. Tumin as a critic to Davis and Moore will emerge out. Line by line, proposition by proposition, that criticism would be done. So here, when you talk about Talcott Parsons, Davis and Moore, then talk about Tumin. Then you have done Marx, you have focused on class, try to look at. You would never be struggling once you have done Marx in a holistic manner, in a better manner. you will be talking about. And then Weber. 2 lines I am making. I had said it last class that if you want to understand Weber, you will have to understand Marx. Similarly, in terms of the social stratification, if you want to understand Weber, then you must be comfortable in Marx. Now, 2 lines I am saying, and try to think on that line. Weber has also been referred to as a live ghost of Marx. Who dug the grave of Marx, took out his skeleton, and asked all the questions which Marx has not answered it. So the movement is from unidimensional to multidimensional. So in a Weber, we will be talking about the Trinity model. That is a class, status and party, where the social and political dimension seems to be hidden in the economic dimension of Marx. Weber bifurcates it. Come to this line, you will understand it. Alright? Last class I say, first hand, Weberian method, ideal type. Apply it here. And once you have done it, then for 5 or 10 minutes, just try to look that how some of the contemporary discourse on social stratification have viewed class. Alright? So here, some contemporary works. Most of the works on a social stratification, you will find about that there are only 2 magnum opuses. Either most of them would be following the Marxian perspective proposition, some would be taking their lines on a Weber, but there are certain works, Frank Parkin, Eric Olin Wright, to name few, who have tried to synthesize Marx with the Weber. And you will be getting the ideas of social exclusion and others, also the middle class and others. Alright, so you views on a class, on class. Alright, and then the dimensions will come out. 2 dimensions, once again I am saying, class, caste, status, then some dimensions will come out in terms of race, natural inequality beta. Alright? The moment you make a line that men are more prowess than women, and the moment you make the statement that whites are more intelligent than blacks, now I think you will be able to understand natural to the social inequality. And social stratification is exclusive form of social inequality. Look at these dimensions and then relate stratification with social mobility. Remember my line, beta. The parameters on which in social stratification ranking on hierarchy has been done, gradation of a group of people over one another has been done. These are the same parameters within which social mobility would be viewed by you. Alright? Every society which tries to stratify its members also provide the avenues to its members to improve their positions. So that way, stratification and mobility will come out. Talk about types of mobility. Alright? Go deep into it. And once you have done this one, then also bring about here, paper 2, caste system in India. Alright? And there are many questions coming in terms of class and caste. Class in caste, caste in class. It's a very painful day. I'm sorry to say this line. It's very painful that most of the questions writing in a second paper, we write in a GS mode. Because there are many areas of your syllabus in a first paper and second paper GS. which are common to your second paper sociology. Are we going to write in a similar manner? What in the first class, for the very first day I said? That every subject brings its perspective. And Indian sociology seems to be as rich in theoretical methodological dimension as the Western sociology is. You need to bifurcate your writing in sociology. You need to bifurcate your writing in a GS, in an essay. When you're writing in Indian sociology, caste and class, you need to use the theoretical models. A structuralist Louis Dumont, that syllabus mein hai, this is there in syllabus. When he would be making the difference between stratification and hierarchy, so class and caste will come out. A structural functionalist perspective in which M.N. Srinivas, Andre Bete will come out. A structural Marxist in which Desai will come out. Mukherjee's will come out. How the class has become more important. Modernistic views. Economic dimension in caste and cultural dimension in class. These are the requirements of the second paper. These are the requirements of the conceptual clarity. And sometimes when you are very new, dear, sometimes you feel, "Arey, ye bhi janna hai." Yes. But believe me, beta, it will take only 10 minutes to know. Alright. For example, if I say M.N. Srinivas, when he provides the example of a Baniya community, is Baniya a caste? Now you think upon that caste and class are different, but certain occasions, we find the overlapping, we find the certain kind of interaction between them. This way your answer should be framed. Alright. Then you need to talk about constitutional. From Article 15.4 to 16.4, where we find about. Alright. Look at it. That's why time and again I have been saying that with me, subject is serious. It is not an easy way. Easy when we read, then it becomes easy. When we don't read, everything is difficult. Now, I out of the 6 brothers, 6 siblings, I was the most notorious one. So, my father used to always ask me, "Suren, let me know which is the most toughest job." He says, "No, gaining knowledge is the most toughest job." Now I realized here, you will have also to realize with me. And once you have done this one, this is unit 5. Alright? Race, ethnicity, gender. Alright? The debates will be coming out. Sometimes we find the questions in terms of hierarchy and stratification, even in the second paper. So the moment you talk about the caste system, you'll be finding about the debate between Louis Dumont and Andre Bete. That way the questions are coming on, which I'll be talking in the coming days. So this should be your approach in unit 5. But here, segmentalized one. You have known something from Talcott Parsons. You have known something from Marx. You have known something from Weber. Take their data, whatever you have become comfortable, and use it in stratification. And then you come that apart from this, who are the other scholars who are to be focused? So I said Davis and Moore. If Davis and Moore is focused, then automatically Melvin Toomey will come out. Your clarity of thought should be in this direction. Alright? Once you have done this one day, alright? Then unit 6. Alright. Can I ask you to, unit 6 is work in economic life. Broadly, we are talking about economic sociology. And the moment you started the unit 1, relationship of sociology with other social sciences, didn't we talk about sociology with economics? Have we not become comfortable with that, what economics is all about and what sociology has brought into it? It means the change in the perspective from one social science to another social science, that has been known to you in a unit 1. It means you have now found the road, you have now found the path to look at. All right. Today, we are basically talking about sociology of work and occupation. We are not talking about economic sociology and others. We are just talking about sociology of work and occupation. Look at there. And once you do it, then talk about theoretical perspectives like functionalist, conflict, symbolic interactionist, feminists. It means basics are known to you. Through this, you will come to know about the basics. And not only of economic sociology, not only of economic institutions, but you would also be able to understand that how work has been viewed by the functionalists, by the Marxists, by the symbolic interactionists, and how it has been reacted upon by the feminists. This is first part. And let me say, when you are picking up unit 6 and 7, I will not repeat the lines twice, that economic sociology and a political sociology, unit 7, is not something which is a little economics or little political science, which the sociologists practice in a sideways. Economic sociology and political sociology is a part of sociology, part of the broader social system. So it is first the sociology which will provide orientation to this unit. This we are calling it today work and economic life. What I am talking about in terms of economic sociology. So you need to understand the basic dimension from Durkheim to Marx to Weber to Talcott Parsons. All right, you will find certain ideas on economy. You will find about the certain ideas on economic sociology, which you have become comfortable with. Since you are now new, you do not know, but once you have done the unit 4, this unit will be done. And you yourself will be saying me, sir, ho gaya. And how the unit begins? Social organization of work in different types of society like slave society, feudal society, industrial capitalist society. But the moment you look at the evolution of human society from Marxian perspective in general and Western society in particular, you will find about that how his evolution begins in terms of primitive communism to slave society to feudal society to capitalist society to socialist to communist society. You will be finding the views on capitalism by Weber. You will be finding the views of capitalism and others in terms of industrial society from Durkheim, from Parsons. It means these have been done. And then formal and informal organizations, it means once you have done this one, then you look at the social organization in different societies. Along with the thinkers dear, what you have become comfortable with. And then we'll be using some scholars. So the first day I said that time and again in last 24, 25 years, people have been asking, students have been asking, sir, बहुत thinkers है. मैं कहा हाँ है. क्या करना है बोलो? What do you have to do? Do we need to know all these millions of scholars? All who are working on society, they will become the part of you. Do you need to know this one? You know it, what I am saying. All right? And once you have done this one, then you just open up the sociology of organization on 2 lines. In the lines of Weber, in which bureaucracy will come out, which we have done in the legal rational authority last class which I talked about. and also open up the account on organization from Frederick Taylor's account. पढ़ेंगे तो हमको पता चलेगा बेटा. You are now getting Taylor's quotient in terms of scientific management theory. But if we talk about the scientific management theory, we will be talking about Elton Mayo, Hawthorne experiment, human relations approach, rebel versus herd hypothesis. All right. And once you have opened up this one, then talk about formal and informal. आसान है बेटा. This is easy. This part has to be understood. 10 minutes, this has to be understood. Questions are coming from Taylor. Questions are coming from Mayo. And you say, sir, why this question? These questions are there because when you're talking about sociology of organization, we are not trying to look at their growth. We are not trying to look at their evolution. That how they evolved, which will take only 10-15 minutes to understand. But anticipation of questions should be comfortably done by you. Hard, while working on Ghana, you will be finding about how the term informal sector, informal economy will coming out. So from here you look at, extend that to the second paper, because certain units are there, informalization. You are finding the questions on informalization of activities and globalization and others. Such are the questions. Look, link it. But linking it requires your conceptual understanding. I have always said that if you are conceptually comfortable, you are very cool, calm. है ना? जैसे मैं थोड़ा बीच में मुस्कुरा रहा हूँ, आप भी मुस्कुराओगे. हाँ, सोशियोलॉजी देख लेंगे, देख लूंगा भाई, है ना? सिलेबस से तो आएगा. क्वेश्चन शुड बी फ्रॉम द सिलेबस. Fear is necessary, but fear should not be nemesis of your success. डरो, यूपीएससी से डरना चाहिए. I always say that. Do fear of UPSC. The academic excellence which you have shown to your parents and to your neighbors and your relatives will completely be written off once you have not cleared prelims, or you have had a very poor marks in mains, rejected in an interview. All right? You may be throughout a gold medalist, but that part of fear is fine. But fear should not be the nemesis of your success. Some comfortability is required, and comfortability will be coming only with the content, with the familiarization, with the conceptual understanding. And once you have done it, then come to कुछ मत करो बेटा. Durkheim, Karl Marx, Max Weber. And now what kind of question they are asking? They are asking the questions, Emile Durkheim versus Marx. In a comparative questions, you just try to write the concluding remarks. For example, if any one of you has gone through, and if I say now, in terms of divisional flavor, one of the anomaly which Durkheim will be talking about is anomie. And one of the anomaly what the Marx will be talking about is alienation. Try to come to that level. And then how the technological innovations occupational diversifications with the help of technology has changed the nature of division flavor. You are finding about the new kind of occupations coming out, new kind of enterprises coming out, new kind of outlets coming out. We are finding about how the traditional proletariat is dead, how the manual workers are declining, non-manual workers are increasing. Such kind of questions would be there, because that way you will be talking about this one. And once we have done it, do that in the second paper. Part C, Unit 3, that is industrialization and urbanization. Do not wait. Bring it here. Similar perspective is there in terms of the kinship. Syllabus का हाँ, politics and society. देखो, your syllabus begins with sociological theories of power. ऐसा ही खोल लो बेटा. And once we have opened the sociological theories of power, then you will be talking about Marx, Weber, है ना? In terms of power, authority, legitimacy. Have and have nots, those who control the modes of production. From there, the power will coming out. Economic infrastructure to superstructure. That kind of analysis you might have, you'd be getting comfortability in Marx. So Marxian view on power, Weberian views on power with ideal type. First hand. Then do focus on a neo-Marxian. All right. Ralph Dahrendorf, Althusser, Lansky. Chota beta, chota. Not in that detail what you have gone through the 6 scholars. Here, these scholars are only liners. 7 or 8 lines. What they have basically said, the crux is to be known. In a very brief. And then elite theory will come out. Pareto, Mosca. And how Pareto, Mosca would be sorry. Introspected by C.W. Mills, concept of power elites. All right. Robert de Hull, that way the elite theory will come out. And then now focus on globalization. In an economic, sociology unit 6 and 7, and change unit 10, and even in the religion. Your focus should also be on contemporary trends, contemporary happenings. So make a unit in which you will be talking about here globalization and its impact. You will be finding about globalization and power. You will be finding about postmodernistic views. Do not get confused. Do not be bothered with such kind of heavy jargons. Post-structuralism, postmodern. But yeah, आसान है. He's the easy one. Do not get be bogged down. डरो मत. Huh? There is no exam which we cannot qualify. The man can qualify any kind of exam. है ना? Homo sapiens sapiens है हम लोग बेटा. Live and learn. By the time you leave, you learn something. Learning should not be stopped. And then you talk about nation state, democracy. Then political party, pressure group, interest groups, citizenship. T.H. Marshall, sometimes the questions comes out. All right. Civil society, the one area from where you have talked about. But the moment you are talking about the civil society, right from the Renaissance, unit 1, Enlightenment, you will be finding about, all right, Ferguson, Hegel, Marx, Lansky. You will be talking about such kind of thing. Andre Bethe and other scholars in India. So civil society, this is a common area of second paper as well. And earlier at our time, there used to be a unit that was basically called social movement. Now what they have done, the new syllabus has done, that certain part of the conceptual understanding of the social movement has been brought to you in a unit 7. All right. Now look at the sequence. Sequence kharab hai beta. Your first focus should be on understanding what is collective action. All right. Unorganized, disorganized to organized. From crowd behavior to the new social movements. The moment you talk about from crowd behavior to the new social movements, it means you have now come to the understanding in a theoretical model that is psychological to sociological. And then you'll be talking about, look at the sequence, what I'm saying in a sequence. Agitation. agitation to protest, protest to social movement. And one of the types of social movement is the revolution. Revolution is a type of social movement, but all social movements are not revolutionary. Questions would be there. And they are asking the question, types of movement. David Eberle and others, even if you forget the names, relatively talk about. And sometimes what they do, UPSC बदमाशी करता है बेटा कभी कभी. अभी कुछ साल पहले मैं देख रहा था एक बच्चे ने मुझसे पूछा कि सर millenarium movement has been asked in a paper 1. I say bhai, when we started talking about the types of movement, did not we talk about millenarium movement there? And even if we are talking about religion, we are talking about this millenarium movement. And then he recalled back, sir, we have talked about and we had a notes on this. Such kind of mistakes are not to be done. All right. So once again, I am saying collective action, in which you will be focusing on crowd to the new social movements. Your sequence should be agitation, protest, movement, revolution. Same, all the areas which we will talk about politics and society is a part of syllabus of Sociology Paper 2, Part C, Unit 4. Even the elites, power elites and others, social structure of elites in India. Why to wait? Once we are talking about elite theory in our first paper, talk about that one over there. The only thing is that we will be trying to approach second paper in a phase wise, in a decade wise. When I say decade wise, it means from where in which decade the certain new quantitative qualitative dimension has emerged out. The new theoretical dimensions emerged, which I'll let you know tomorrow that why I'm saying in such manner. All right. And when I talked about religion and society, Unit 8, it says sociological theories of religion. Durkheim, elementary forms of religious life. Marx, religion and opium to the masses. Weber, Protestant ethics and spirit of capitalism. Right? Parsons, religion provides ready-made answers to so many why questions. ऐसा क्वेश्चन बेटा साइंस एंड रिलीजन में. All right. What you basically need to do, in this unit, basically, I always say, डरना मत बेटा. इस रिलीजन के थियरीज को नहीं, just try to divide it. Sociological theories and anthropological theories. In a sociological theories, begin with the founding father of sociology, Auguste Comte. You find the questions on positive religion. So talk about Auguste Comte, Emile Durkheim, Karl Marx, Max Weber, Talcott Parsons, and contemporary works. And here you talk about anthropological theories, animism, it's a part of your syllabus, questions are coming, animatism, R.R. Merritt, naturism, Max Muller. These three theories, if you remember, I talked about in Durkheim. That why Durkheim in his elementary forms of religious life, when he talks about totemism, why he becomes critical of these theories. That origin part of religion should come later. The first part should be how the difference has been made between sacred and profane, which totemism has done. So even in Durkheim, you would be getting the idea of animism of Tyler, E.B. Tyler, Edward Bernard Tyler, R.R. Merritt, threshold of religion, animatism, Max Muller, you'll be finding about it in terms of naturism, and then totemism. The moment you talk about totemism, Durkheim will be coming out, and functionalism, in which Malinowski and A.R. Radcliffe Brown will come out. And once you have done it, then look at, like if he says, you look at the syllabus, he says types of religious practices. एनिमिज्म, ये सिलेबस में है बेटा, या कर तो लिए. Material body and phantom, E.B. Tyler's theory, that way the things will come out. Then talk about monoism, pluralism, use that in second paper as well. Religious communities in India, major religions of India. One who believes in one God, one who believes in many gods. So monotheism, polytheism would be coming out. What are the prerequisites of pluralism? And then you also focus on religious organizations. But I am not looking at the syllabus. Syllabus is saying only sect and cult. No, you just focus on what are the major religious organizations in organized societies. Like church, established religion. It has to be taken figuratively, not terminologically. So in any society where there is an established religion, we are referring it to as a church. It's not to deal only with the Christianity. Any religion which comes in defiance of protest to the established religion, sect. When sect pulls down, takes care of the rough edges, denomination. When any religious organization revolves around the teaching of a particular religious leader, cult. And when it nominally becomes state religion, ecclesia. ECCLESIA. है ना? So church, sect, denomination, cult, ecclesia. Syllabus में क्या पढ़ना बेटा? Sect and cult. If you are talking about sect and cult, you are also talking about church. You are also talking about denomination. And it's very simple. Every organized religion has its evolution from cult to sect to church, having the probability of becoming ecclesia. This is evolutionary perspective. And you do not stop there. Once you have done it, you'll find about how in the modern society there is a rise of sects, the cults, the new religious sects are coming, cults are coming. These are the questions which are coming in a GS as well, dear. New social movements, such kind of questions are coming to you. And once you started talking about the components of sociology, right from Enlightenment, the process which has begun in Renaissance was provided a positive direction in Enlightenment. So one of the component of modernity in Europe was Enlightenment. In a one line, Enlightenment is basically a critical reaction against authority and tradition. Religion would be introspected, critically introspected. And from there you will be finding about the evolution of science. So they are asking the questions on religion and science. Yes, syllabus mein beta. That religion in modern society, religion and science. Right? One without another is a blind, one without another is a tame. ऐसा क्वेश्चन सब आता बेटा. Right? Science is a means to an end, religion an end in itself. Right? And then secularization, religious revivalism, fundamentalism. And the moment you talk about, many times it is written that secularization is basically a triumph of science on religion. I always say fundamentalism, religious revivalism is basically a surety that science is yet to triumph over religion. Look at that in that very perspective. Use the same perspective in a second paper. Religion and society in India. And then, apart from here, is system of kinship. फिर कुछ नहीं करना बेटा, एकदम conceptual clarity. But sociologically, when I say sociologically, then sociologically. Allow me to speak for 2 lines in Hindi. हम लोग क्या करते हैं? चाचा है, ताऊ है, मौसा है, मौसी है, फुआ है, फूफी है. When you're talking about the kins, which side? Father side, mother side. father's brother, father's brother's wife, father's sister, father's sister's husband, father's sister's son, father's sister's daughter. Be specific. And then be familiarized with the terms. Consanguinity, affinity, totality of these two is a kinship. Who are the primary kins, secondary kins, tertiary kins? Who are the parallel cousins, cross cousins? All right. Filiation, lineage, clan, rules of descent. Descent could be looked in terms of unilineal, non-unilineal. In unilineal, we will be talking about patrilineal, matrilineal, double unilineal, or then parallel descent, curved descent, and there we will be talking about cognitic, bilineal, bilateral, and auxiliary, ambilineal जिसको बोलते हैं बेटा. So 5 in a unilineal, 4 in non-unilineal. What we are usually doing? That, sir, sociology is all about the industrial society, sociology is all about the study of modern society. So we find about only the two types, that is patrilineal and matrilineal. Yeah, agreed. But over the decades, sociology has also had the interdisciplinary approach. To understand ourselves better, we have also started studying the tribal, simpler societies, the agrarian societies, where the importance of kinship is very strong. Broad range to the narrow range. Then we will be talking about kinship as a social capital. Saint-Bourdieu, concept of social capital. इतना जानना होगा बेटा आपको. And once we have talked about filiation, my relation with my parents, with whom up to the known ancestor lineage, from the common ancestor, clan. Then in the second paper, we will finding about the clan is not merely biological, it is also spiritual. Then G.S. Ghurye will come out. That's why I am saying, do not leave the second paper to be done later on. Once you have understood the conceptual dimensions of the unit in a paper 1, once you have become aware of the theoretical methodological perspective used in that unit, then you just try to go through the second paper, try to look at and try also to find about that where there is a convergence and where there is a divergence, and if that divergence is there, why this divergence is found. I'll talk about that when I pick up the caste system. And then, mostly in a modern society, you will find about preponderance of the patriarchal society. So bring about the patriarchy, sexual division of labor. So from the kinship, you look at institution of marriage. All right. In a marriage, you just try to look at family. Go by this sequence. First, make yourself familiar with the basic concepts. All right. And then look at the contemporary changes. Maximum questions are coming from the contemporary changes. But change requires a reference. Unless and until you are aware of what the traditional, the core issues are there, you will never be able to do justice with the change. All right. You are finding so many questions on marriage. From Western society to the Eastern society, they are finding about what are the new forms of marriages emerging. All right. What are the changes? What is the impact of industrialization, urbanization, modernization on kinship, marriage, family? What are the darker sides? What are the aberrations emerging out of the marriage and family? 1960s. You look at prior to 1960s, we never thought of these institutions, social institutions, in a dysfunctional manner. From 1960, we will finding about a certain kind of critical analysis on a family. So the conflict Marxist perspective will emerge about, psychological perspective will emerge about, structuralist perspective will. So they are asking the question, what are the theoretical perspectives on the study on the sociology of family? ऐसा question आ रहा है बेटा. What these changes are, what are the factors that have brought the changes? And particularly last 2 years, they asked one question on David Morgan. Let me make one line. You remember this line of mine, dear. Nowhere in any optional certain offbeat questions comes. Like most of the people say, why David Morgan? We have no, you have not done justice. Questions are not being asked that one of the examiner thought of कि आज पूछूंगा और पूछ लिया. नहीं बेटा. The certain questions which are specific being asked, it means they have brought certain change, shift in the discourse of that institution. David Morgan's work is one such on a familial practices against the structuralist perspective. Hence, David Morgan was asked to you. So it was not an offbeat question. It was not out of the syllabus question. Why anyone who is talking about a family will be doing about. This is my job as a teacher. Why would I be leaving you to struggle? But your major focus should be there in terms of contemporary one. All right? So it is written in a contemporary one. We talk about the contemporary. All right? And when I said contemporary about that change, I said change with a reference. Extended family to nuclear family to subnuclear family. Now they are asking about the questions, philocentric, child-centric one. Such kind of question, itna to conceptual, you need to be aware of. And that way the questions will be coming out here. Theoretical dimensions has to be talked about, so the basics should be done. Filiation, lineage, clan, rules of descent, unilinear, non-unilinear. Go through this one. Talk about marriage, the traditional dimension, look at what are the changes coming out. Family. Bring one unit extra. Impact of feminism on family and marriage. All right. Because the moment we are talking about patriarchy and sexual division of labor, you will also be finding about that how the feminist kind of questions would be coming out. So bring that women's perspective. Bring that feminist perspective. And once you have done the unit 9 with the second paper, then there is one unit left that is called social change. It is a unit 10. Social change in a modern society. How does it begin, dear? Sociological theories of social change. Right? Evolutionism, Marxism, idealism in terms of Weber, functionalism, cyclical theory, Pareto, Toynbee, Spangler, Sorokin, cultural lag theory. Talk about it in a sequence. Have you marked it today that I have used certain names only when they come to the context? Otherwise, the major, whatever the theories which the syllabus has required, I have basically tried you to move around all the 6 scholars which have become important. Parsonian theory would also be talking about, and they would also be asking that questions extending to the second paper, whose theory seems to be more applicable in terms of understanding the change in India, Marxian or Parsonian. All right. So you talk about these are the certain theories. And once you have talked about, then today in social change we are also talking about development. So the unit will begin with development and dependence. Have the basics on the development. What development is? What are the dimensions of development? From economic to social, to reactive to reflexive. In a reflexive, we will be talking about globalization, economic and social, through which we will be coming about the human development and other concepts. But in the developmental perspective, we will also be knowing about how the nations of the world have been divided into the first world, second world, third world, or industrialized, all right, industrializing, less industrialized, whatever name we talk about. In which you will be finding about that how, due to the impact of colonialism, we will be looking at the theory that is the dependence. Prebys, Ralph Prebys, to T. dos Santos, to Henry Gunter Frank, to Immanuel Wallerstein, core and periphery, metropolis satellite. आसान है बेटा. The country which is the colonial master is the core. The country on which colonies have been made is a periphery, metropolis satellite. How in the 60s Immanuel Wallerstein will be bringing about the world system theory. This question has been repeated several times. That is a part of development and dependence. And once you have done this one, then you also focus on what are the agents of change. Innovation, diffusion, discovery, all right, cultural contact, law, education, science and technology, social movements. Look at the factors. Look at the agents of social change. Once you are looking at the agents of social change, do anticipate that can there be question on this one. So your syllabus says education and social change, science, technology and social change. Both agents mein hi ho gaya beta. We are talking about agents, we are not only talking about law. You are also talking about how law has brought change. So there you will be finding one second paper, law, constitution and change in India. Isn't it? So post-independently, we will be talking about the constitution and how constitution become an instrument to bring change. In a highly institutionalized society like India, which was divided in the caste system, was bifurcated on the religious lines, isn't it? So look at the change and also try to look at how this change, go a bit deep. And that way syllabus would be done. And this is the syllabus, science, education and social change, science, technology and change. That way we break it, open it beta. Hamesha first will begin with conceptual understanding. It means what is social change? What is cultural change? How will we be looking at socio-cultural change? Once you have looked at it, then look at theories of change. All right? And then we talk about notion of development and dependence. In a dependence, we talk about the certain perspectives, the critical perspective, conflict perspective, Marxist perspective, how from the colonial countries it will be coming out. So passing reference of Prebys, T. dos Santos, a bit deep into A.G. Frank, and bit deep into Immanuel Wallerstein. So that way this unit and the questions will be done. And then talk about agents of change. And in all these units, beta, economy, polity, religion, system of kinship and change. When you talk about contemporary changes, do bring about certain perspective of impact of globalization, impact of industrialization, impact of modernization. Look at what the changes they have brought. And once you have done this one, then in the agents of change, the rest topic will come out. Education and social change, science, technology and change. Once again, I am saying that your major focus should be Unit 4, the second class of the, or second discussions on the boot camp. And once you have become familiar, comfortable, having certain mastery, or all the 6 scholars, their views are to be located in a Unit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as per the requirement. All right. And then we'll be using certain scholars, certain works which are typical to that unit. But they would be having in a very brief perspective. All right. And if the certain statements are very famous, as the tanks and missiles started pouring from the factories, ऐसा statement मिलेगा वो CW mills में, power elite में, we'll be approaching on that very perspective. But that would be there because we are talking about the cyclical theory or the elite theory in a politics. Hence we are talking about power elite. So some scholars would be peculiar to the unit concerned, which is there in the syllabus, which will be reading, which will be familiarizing ourselves, we will be getting the content, and we will be understanding in which context this scholar has been asked, in which context this theory has been raised. All right. But your beginning of a skeleton of the unit, apart from the conceptual clarity, is the 6 units, 6 scholars, and then a specific one who are peculiar to that particular unit which you have picked up, where your preparation has come now. Linking the first paper with that of the second paper. And in this very perspective, the things are to be taught by you. All right. Navigating the narrow, you go, navigate it. I always say unit 5 to 10 is a conceptual clarity. With a common open mind, that how to use the 6 scholars according to the nature of the question, context and the units, and who are the certain scholars who are more famous or important in this particular unit. You will be having a limited scholars, you will be having the limited names, and the theories would be understood to you. This is the way to approach, this is the way to get comfortability, this is the way to become confident. I am not saying become overconfident. No, fear is fine. But do not let the fear fail you. Do not let the fear falter, will making you fall. No, anticipation, level of anticipation will come out. That's why I talked about the certain offbeat questions which the people have said in terms of David Morgan and others. You know, certain theoretical approaches, when you approach it with the theoretical, theory solidifies your knowledge. And sometimes you'll find about that certain theoretical dimensions have been critically introspected and the new work has come up. In this perspective, they asked the question on David Morgan. So it was not an offbeat question, it was not picked up by anyone. That someone thought, some examiner thought and made the question. No, beta. This is where the questions are not said. Questions have a relevance. Questions have a justification. You need to understand that one. And that's why once again I am repeating that one. Escalation of the subject will always be done by the teacher and the students. Either I, the teacher, has not done justice to the syllabus. When I have broken your trust, when you have completely trusted on me that sir is the one who will be dealing sociology with me, and when I have not opened up, or despite me opening up everything, when you have not done your labor, only then sociology will be cause of rejection. It will not be a cause of rejection. There are certain ways to approach, there are certain ways to become familiar with the perspective. All right? Simplifying the things is more important. Do not bring complexity to your understanding. Language is always yours. No, sometimes I find some people say there are certain terms which sir use. Better don't confuse with the concept with the language. Over the years, while reading, teaching, such kind of extemporality has been there. You will be coming out. You need to write, you need to express yourself. Language is the medium of expression. And if you can express yourself with a lucid language, simple sentences, smaller sentences, shorter sentences, do it. But do justice to the need disposition of the question. And to do justice to the need disposition of question, that kind of approach, that kind of practice and approaching to the paper should be done. With this, we'll be meeting tomorrow with the second paper, first part. And then I'm linking on the next day, both the second paper. So in day 4 of the boot camp and day 5 on the boot camp, I request all of you to come. All right? And also get the way, how to approach the second paper, which I always call that second paper works like a mathematics. All right? Which we'll be talking about. The fine intricacies are to be understood. The how to use, where to go, how to approach the Indian sociology, that will be done about. I wish all of you the best of luck. All right? And thank you for being there in the class in such a number. And I request all of you to come tomorrow, day after tomorrow, so that your clarity would be there in terms of how to approach the Indian sociology, paper 2. Sociology is an optional. All right? All the best. Thank you.